There's a question that has ended countless relationships. A question that seems innocent, even romantic. But in reality, it exposes everything. Your emotional control, your sense of self, your inner balance. Most men answer it without thinking. And that's the moment they lose all power in the relationship. Because the wise man, the Stoic man, never answers it. Now, before you assume this is about playing games or manipulation, let's slow down. Stoicism isn't about coldness. It's about clarity. Knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. It's about mastering the self, not controlling others. So, what's the question that every man should be cautious of? It sounds simple. She looks at you maybe after a long silence or a small disagreement, and she asks, "Do you still love me?" Or maybe it comes as, "What do you think about us?" Two short sentences, but they carry heavy emotional weight. They're not just questions, they're tests. Not conscious ones, but emotional ones. In that moment, she's not really asking for information. She's reaching for reassurance. She wants to know if you're still emotionally hooked, if you still feel what she feels, and if you rush to answer. If you jump in with nervous words, over-explaining your feelings, defending your loyalty, you lose something much deeper than the argument. You lose your center. The Stoics would tell you that emotions are storms that test the strength of your mind. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When she asks, "Do you still love me?" that's an outside event. It's something you can't control, but your reaction to it, that's where your power lies. Most men don't see it that way. They see the question and panic. They think, if I don't say the right thing, she'll think I don't care. So they talk too much. They chase reassurance instead of giving calm certainty. But what the Stoics knew, and what modern men forget, is that stillness is stronger than speech. When you react impulsively, you hand over your peace. When you respond calmly, you protect it. Now, I'm not saying to ignore her. I'm saying to not answer from emotion. Because in that moment, the question isn't really about her, it's about you. Do you need to be understood? Do you need validation? Do you need to prove your worth through words? A Stoic man doesn't. He knows that love, like virtue, is proven through action, not expression. Seneca once said, "He who depends on another's approval is a slave." Let that sink in. Every time you rush to explain yourself, every time you try to convince someone to see your value, you hand them the chains. When a woman asks that question, what she's really doing is checking where your emotional power lies. Does it live inside you, or inside her opinion of you? That's why the Stoic man never answers immediately. He doesn't run from the question. He simply doesn't let it control him. He pauses. He breathes. He stays rooted in truth. Because silence, when it's born from strength, speaks louder than any emotional confession. You see, the world today teaches men that love means constant reassurance, that you have to keep proving yourself through messages, gestures, words, validation. But Stoicism teaches the opposite, that love without control isn't love. It's attachment. And attachment is just another form of slavery. A Stoic doesn't avoid emotion. He masters it. He feels deeply, but he doesn't drown in what he feels. So when she asks, "Do you still love me?" the Stoic doesn't panic. He doesn't rush to fill the silence. He lets the moment breathe, because he's not afraid of silence. He's comfortable in it. That silence tells her more than 100 desperate words ever could. It says, "My peace isn't dependent on your reaction." It says, "I am still me, no matter what you feel in this moment." And that's the paradox. The very composure that women test for is the one thing that makes them respect you more when you hold it. The truth is, most people, not just women, test the strength of your emotional center without realizing it. They want to feel your stability, and you can't give stability if you don't have it within. So never answer the question in the way it's expected. Don't turn it into a debate about feelings. Don't try to prove anything. Instead, stand still, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Because when you do, you remind both her and yourself that your love isn't built on insecurity. It's built on presence, and presence is the essence of Stoicism. The Stoics taught that love, respect, and trust all begin from self-mastery. If you cannot master your reactions, you will forever be a servant to them. So next time someone asks you, "Do you still love me?" smile softly, take a breath, and remember, the question isn't a trap, unless you let it be. It's simply life, asking you, are you in control, or are you controlled? Because true power isn't about dominance. It's about stillness. It's the quiet kind of strength that doesn't need to explain itself. And when a man learns that, he stops chasing validation, he starts radiating peace. And that, more than any answer, is what makes him unforgettable. When a man chooses silence, people often mistake it for distance. But the truth is, silence is often the sound of discipline. See, when a woman asks you that kind of question, "Do you still love me?" she's not always looking for an answer. She's looking for an emotion. She wants to feel your presence, not hear your words. And that's where most men go wrong. They try to fill that emotional gap with over-explanation. They start defending themselves, proving their love, convincing her of their loyalty. But what she feels is the opposite, because love that tries too hard to prove itself loses its mystery. A Stoic doesn't explain himself. He embodies himself. He doesn't say, "I love you," every time she doubts it. He lives in a way that makes her feel it without asking. And when that question arises, he doesn't panic. He does what few men today know how to do. He pauses. That pause is powerful. It's not empty. It's a moment of recentering. The Stoic knows that every emotional situation is a storm. And before he speaks, he must become the calm within it. He might eventually respond, but not from fear, not from ego, not from the need to be seen as right. He responds from truth. It might sound like this: love isn't something I prove through words. It's in how I move, how I show up, how I choose peace, even when things feel heavy. That's not coldness. That's composure. And in that moment, she feels something stronger than reassurance. She feels trust. Because women deep down don't seek men who answer every emotional test. They seek men who don't collapse under emotional pressure. That's the essence of Stoicism, holding your center no matter how strong the storm gets. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being unmoved by emotion. You can feel deeply and still stand tall. You can love fiercely and still remain grounded. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. That's the answer to every question. Not words, but example." So, instead of answering, "Do you still love me?" with empty phrases, the Stoic shows it through presence, stability, and self-respect. Because the moment you start chasing validation, you stop leading the relationship. And a relationship without leadership, not control but direction, will always drift into emotional chaos. That's why Stoicism is not anti-love. It's the foundation of healthy love. A love where both people are free, not chained by fear, not desperate for constant confirmation. When you're grounded, your calmness becomes contagious. Your peace teaches her peace. Your strength teaches her trust. And when that happens, you move from being emotionally reactive to emotionally magnetic. That's what every strong woman truly respects. A man who cannot be shaken. Now, let's zoom out for a moment. In the modern world, emotional control has become rare. We live in a culture of instant replies, overthinking, over-explaining, and emotional broadcasting. Every text becomes a performance. Every pause becomes suspicion. And every relationship turns into a game of who cares less. But here's the Stoic truth. Peace is not found in winning emotional battles. It's found in not fighting them at all. When you learn to master your reactions, you stop being predictable. And in relationships, unpredictability, the calm kind, builds respect. Because if you're always available, always explaining, always reassuring, you become comfortable noise. And comfort without respect slowly kills attraction. That's why the Stoic man doesn't play the modern emotional game. He's not on the same frequency as chaos. He's tuned into peace, purpose, and principle. He's not cold. He's centered. And people feel that difference immediately. Now, here's something subtle but profound. When you don't answer a question impulsively, you're not rejecting her. You're respecting yourself. You're reminding both of you that your emotions are not public property. They are sacred territory. And that's something society rarely teaches men anymore. That boundaries are not walls. They're walls with doors, and you decide who gets to enter. When you maintain your inner peace, you naturally attract others who crave that same steadiness. You become the calm in their chaos. That's why when a woman tests you emotionally, it's not an attack, it's curiosity. She wants to see if you can handle her storm without losing your center. And when you do, her respect deepens, even if she doesn't say it out loud. Because in truth, calmness is confidence, stillness is status, and restraint is power. Think about the modern dating world. Everyone's oversharing online, venting on social media, drowning in opinions and reactions. The man who says less, but means more, stands out immediately. That's the Stoic edge in today's world. You don't have to compete through words. You win through presence. Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." That's how the Stoic man lives. He doesn't need to answer every emotional question, because his energy already gives the answer. So the next time you're faced with that emotional moment, when someone asks you, "Do you still love me?" or "Where is this going?" don't rush. Pause. Take a deep breath. Feel the urge to react and let it pass. Then, if you choose to answer, do it from stillness, not from survival. Say less, but mean more, because every word you speak from composure carries the weight of truth. And if you choose not to answer at all, that's fine too. Sometimes, silence says everything. Remember this: the Stoic man doesn't chase understanding. He creates peace. He doesn't chase love. He becomes love through patience, through principle, through self-control. When you master yourself, you stop needing to be validated. And that's the moment everyone else starts to value you, because the world respects the man who respects his own silence. So the next time life or love throws that question your way, smile. Not out of arrogance, but out of calm knowing. You don't have to answer every question. You just have to live in a way that makes the answer obvious. That's Stoicism. That's strength. That's peace. You know, the Stoics never wrote about dating or relationships the way we talk about them today. But everything they taught applies perfectly to them. Because relationships at their core are just reflections of the self. They show you your strengths, and they expose your weaknesses. They test your patience, your pride, and your peace. And that one question, "Do you still love me?" is just the modern version of an ancient trial. A trial of self-control, a test of whether your emotions are your master or your servant. The Stoics weren't against love. In fact, they believed love could be the highest expression of virtue, but only when it comes from a place of self-possession. When love is calm, pure, stable, not the kind that drowns you, the kind that grounds you. When you love from inner strength, your affection becomes peaceful. It's not desperate. It's not loud. It's like a river, constant, quiet, and certain. But when you love from insecurity, your affection becomes noise. You talk too much. You explain too much. You chase too much. You forget that love, at its best, doesn't need to convince anyone. It just is. That's what modern society gets wrong. It tells men to always be expressive, always share every feeling, always open up. And while vulnerability has its place, there's a thin line between being open and being unguarded. Stoicism teaches balance. It doesn't tell you to hide your emotions. It teaches you to govern them. Because anything uncontrolled eventually controls you. So when that question appears, from her, from life, from anyone, do you still love me? Your answer doesn't have to come through words. It can come through stillness, through your eyes, through the way you show up consistently, even when you're misunderstood. You don't owe anyone emotional performance. You owe yourself emotional peace. The Stoics would remind you, you can't control how someone feels about you. You can't control whether they stay or leave. But you can always control how you respond. And that's where freedom lives. Because the moment you stop reacting, you stop suffering. When you stop trying to fix everything through words, you start fixing yourself through awareness. And that awareness makes you powerful in a way the world rarely sees. That's why silence is not weakness. It's not avoidance. It's wisdom. The silence of a man who knows his worth speaks louder than any desperate plea. It says, I know who I am, and that is enough. And here's the truth. When a man reaches that level of calm, love starts chasing him instead. Because people crave stability. They crave presence. They crave the energy of someone who isn't swayed by emotion, but guided by principle. So never answer that question impulsively. Never let fear speak for you. And never mistake silence for indifference. In the Stoic sense, silence is the language of mastery. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. And in love, the best answer is often to be unlike the chaos that questions your peace. So if she ever asks again, do you still love me? You don't need to rush. Just smile gently. Let your calm speak first. Because if it's real, your love doesn't need defending. And if it's not, your silence will expose what words never could. That's the essence of Stoicism in relationships. Not detachment from others, but detachment from the need to prove yourself. That's how you maintain power without dominance, presence without pressure, and love without losing yourself. So, guard your peace, honor your silence, and remember, a man who answers every question loses mystery, but a man who answers only with purpose gains respect. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to leave a like. It helps others find this kind of calm too. And if you're walking the path of self-mastery, hit subscribe. Because the more you understand yourself, the less you'll ever need to explain yourself. Stay grounded, stay patient, and remember, you don't have to answer every question. You just have to live your truth.